Hey everybody, this is Liz. Welcome to session two. I'm going to spend a little time on this slide. I know I said last time you need to be able to do two things to do this work. You need to develop your spidey sense, your intuition, and you need to be able to muscle test. Uh, you really do need to have some counseling experience too. I know so many folks who've decided that they're coaches, life coaches, or decided they're energy workers, but they haven't had counseling themselves or learned about counseling. So they still make lots of mistakes. I can't even tell you how many ethics violations or so that I see in other energy workers referring clients to me and sharing way too much information. Um, um, you know, where they add all their own stuff or they just look for extra information because they're so titillated by the client's problems. The lack of boundaries, ending up giving the client your money or letting them sleep on your couch for 6 months, like all the problems of not being good listeners and not having proper empathy. So I'm going to go into these things a little bit. Each of these things I've listed here, this is just a basic. I would do a shabby job if I were actually teaching you counseling. I've had all the training, but I've not been, I don't really teach this very much. I don't teach this often, but I just want to go over it and give a few minutes to each of these, and I'll put some links below, some videos you can watch. So first I'll just say, um, let me talk about insurance first, get it over with. Insurance, you can get some liability insurance for something like maybe $100 a year. It's worth it because someone's going to get pissed at you and maybe want to sue you. It hasn't happened to me, but you never know. So it's really good. And then you also help yourself down at the bottom there. Help yourself. We're not legally required to get counseling ourselves or to get coaching or mentoring, but it is really good to have a bitch buddy so that you don't aim your shit at the client. Like if they bring up something that triggers you and go, yeah, I know, my dad did that too. It really used to piss me off. Blah, blah, blah. So it's really good to have a bitch buddy so you can off gas. All right, have someone to talk to for sure. All right, enough said. Active listening. It's been said by wise people that we have two ears and one mouth. It's really good to do a lot of good listening. Active listening involves really actively listening, not simply waiting for your turn to speak. Active listening means that you actually rephrase. So if someone says, yeah, I just think my wife's about to divorce me. She's got a separate bank account and she's doing this and that. And you could still, active listening might say, you listen, you don't just wait to be heard. And you don't take that time to plan what you're going to say next. You simply say something like, oh, you think your wife's leaving you? Or what I'm hearing you say is dot, dot, dot. Or, it sounds like you're saying, so you just kind of rephrase. Active listening is super important. It gets the client to trust you and open up. All right. Empathy. Now, Brene Brown is a worker in this field. She has many lectures. I will link a really cute video she does that's been created by one of her little blips on empathy versus sympathy. But empathy is where you feel with the person. People make this mistake all the time. I used to say when I was a chaplain, counselor, coach, trainer, I would say, all my girlfriends just counseled me so badly. Like I would listen to their stuff and go, yeah, it sounds terrible. Wow, that really hurts. That sounds like that really sucks. You kind of empathy means you enter into the pain with them. You don't have to feel it, but you go there with them, right? It's just grieve with them, sit there in the moment with them. They don't necessarily want their problem fixed. They don't need a silver lining fix. Like, well, at least, you are married. At least you have another daughter. At least you could still have children. You don't try to fix it. You don't try to fix it. Um, just have empathy. Just if someone's coming to you in great pain, they just want you to listen and sit with them. They don't need a fix. They don't need the silver lining. Like, well, you could always do this and do that and do that. Like if I talk to you, if I come to you with a deep problem, just sit with me. It pisses me off because I used to get upset because none of my girlfriends could actually not try to fix it. I just want you to listen. I'll actually tell them, please just listen. I don't need advice. I don't want advice. So some empathy. Ethics. I'm going to link a video down below, but ethics, it's super important to actually have confidentiality and privileged communication with your clients. I can't even tell you, like I said earlier, how many people have confidentiality violations with me. They tell me about their clients. They tell me about their people. They tell me whom they're treating. Like really, if you have a client, no one should even really know that you have that person as a client. You shouldn't tell anybody. It's their business, not yours. Anything they tell you should be in confidence, and you should let them know that. Now, I don't keep paperwork on this, but I I definitely I let them know that what we talk about stays here. So do a little bit of study on ethics violations and things like that. I have to work on that one. Stuff on a shelf. I and all of this stuff kind of overlaps, of course, but sometimes a client will come talk to you about a problem and it triggers you with your own stuff. And yeah, my dad did that too. Oh my God. Well, if you decide that's useful for the session, sure, but in general, you put your stuff on a shelf. You work on your triggering before and after. Why you're triggered, why the client or the person they're talking about reminds you of your evil grandfather. You just work on that later. You put it on a shelf. You're there for your client. You're not there to, share your own stuff. Put your own stuff on a shelf. And you need to control the session. So often clients, especially doing this kind of energy work, we have people who are a little bit rogue, a little bit, they just don't follow normal mainstream cultural behavior sometimes and norms. So they want to control the sessions. I remember I used to read tarot cards for people. I was very good at it. Very good readings. I made good money and I had lots of subscribers on my prior channel, YouTube channel. They would actually run the session and they'd want to tell me the story and they'd want to know all this stuff. And they would not let me, some of my clients would not let me run the session. And they would say, no, I need to tell you my story first. I said, no, you just need to, I got the cards right here. Just ask me your question. I'll throw some cards. And they were trying to run the session. When I used to be an acupuncturist, I used to have people actually direct, no, I just want spleen 9 and spleen 6 today and CV20. Just do those or do liver 4. Just do these points. That's all I want. Like, no, I'm the acupuncturist. So it's good to be able to do gentle, firm, neutral redirects, especially if a person wants to verbally take over the session. And again, take over and tell their really bad, terrible story over and over again. People start to identify with their stories. And like I said last time, they continue to create that reality for themselves in their future. So it's good to kind of gently redirect, go, okay, so we're working on your car driving phobia. And so I think we have enough here. Let's go back to the session. Let's start the healing session now. Let's start the treatment. So make sure you can redirect and keep gentle control of your session and don't let the clients boss you around, especially if we don't have training in this and we're helpers, we want to just help and we are super empathic. We just want to take care of them. But no, you need to be the boss of the session. Boundaries, of course. Boundaries is a whole topic of study, but you want to have good boundaries. They may come in with very bad, terrible problems, and you want to go beat up the ex-boyfriend, or you want to go give them all your money, or let them sleep on your couch for 6 months, or go get them the drugs they want. You have to have proper boundaries. They come with their pain, they leave with their pain, hopefully feeling much better, but you don't owe them your life. Boundaries are super important. So now I want to talk about something that you may not hear in general counseling training, which I call the meta narrative or the real story. Listen, I've probably done 2,000 or 3,000 counselings in my career life, and everybody comes to tell you their story. They come to talk to you about something, but what they come to talk to you about is not really the real thing. There's always a meta narrative. There's always a separate story. So the subconscious may understand that the main personality is in pain, and it gets you, the conscious mind, gets you conscious Susie to call a mentor, coach, counselor, therapist, energy worker like myself, coach like myself, to get some help. And they come to session and they tell you their story. There's always another story on top of that. So I remember one time I had a GS civilian, the government has a lot of civilians that serve the military. So I had a government civilian, my last unit. She came to see me and she just said, "What's forgiveness? What's the definition of forgiveness?" She wanted me to give her a lecture on what forgiveness was and how to do it. So understanding what was going on, that there was another story that she wasn't telling me yet, I began to, answer her question about forgiveness. Forgiveness is not for them, it's for you. It doesn't mean that takes away what they did or that what they did wasn't wrong, et cetera, all the things, right? But I was aware that her subconscious has another story it wants to share, and you're being tested to see if you're safe enough to share with. And so I asked her when I felt ready, like, so what's really going on? Who do you need to forgive? She's like, shit. And her husband was a major, and he was a special forces dude, and he was in Afghanistan. And they were trying to get pregnant, and they couldn't conceive. And she says to me, so he's in Afghanistan. He's sleeping with a major, female, 2 majors, right? Having sex in theater. You're not supposed to, but everybody does it. And so I guess she got pregnant. So she's coming home from deployment. You can't be pregnant in a theater either. And he wants to divorce my person, the woman in my office, and marry this woman and raise the baby because he really wants a baby. So she was rightfully pissed And so she was talking about forgiveness. But that was the story she came in to tell. And depending on how I work with her, she was going to share that deeper thing or not. I remember once I was doing some hospice VA work in Brooke Army Medical Center in San Antonio, Texas, 2015 or something, 14. And I was working with this old sergeant major near the end of his life. And he's like, Chaps, you know what's really pissing me off? I go, what, Sergeant Major? And he goes, I have a farm here in Wimberley, up in Wimberley, and there's this farm, this guy next to me, and he's putting all these old horses on there, and he just puts them out to pasture, and they're foundering, and their hooves are getting too long. They need to be trimmed so they can barely walk. And he's got like 40 horses out there. They're just grazing, doing nothing, but they're still useful. So I'm asking you, the listener now, what do you think he was really telling me? What do you think his subconscious kind of wanted me to know, but he didn't feel safe to say? So I say, Sergeant Major, are you wondering if you're now useless? You're wondering about your legacy? And he goes, shit, Chaplain, are you fucking psychic? so I go, no, you just told me, are you feeling useless? So we began to talk about his legacy and how he could still be useful near the end of his life. They always want something else. So you can always listen to the meta narrative. Anyway, enough said. Enough said. Let's go on to the next slide. But you understand, getting some counseling training is really super. Don't worry, we're going to get back to my specific work. Now, once you've got that training, it's very good before you go to session to do some energetic protection. Now, again, this is a 3 or 4 day training that I do, but these are some samples of kinds of energy protection you can do. Now, I'm going to tell you how I teach the Golden Sun one by example. Just by way of example, and if you take the training, you'll get all of it. Or you can go research your own types of energetic protection. There's a bazillion ways to do it. But the Golden Sun, what I end up doing is I tell the person that they have a third chakra, a Manipura chakra, which is right below the sternum and the diaphragm above the navel. And its color is yellow. It's about the size of a softball, energy-wise. So I imagine them putting golden light into that space and fill it. It's coming from source. It's not, you're not using your own energy. It's infinitely sourced as energy for the third chakra. And you put a lot of golden light right in there. And you fill that softball size energy ball full to bursting. And then when you're ready, you have that golden light fill your entire body. I have a chakra exercise in my book that goes over some of this stuff. So once you fill your body full, you can imagine or intending that your body's filled with this golden light. You then extend it 6 feet out from that third chakra, 6 feet out from you in a golden ball of light. And you just intend that you're now protected. That's it. And after you do that a couple of times, you can just intend that it happen. You don't have to go through the exercise again. I'll just say something like shields up. In fact, now I just know I'm protected. I'm always protected. So I'm always protected. But that's an example of energy protection. Anyway, let's go on. So after I've got the person in session, I've explained some of the things at the beginning of the session. I ask them what do they want to work on today, and I ask for their most pressing issue. And we can usually do a few of them because, as I said, they're usually all related. And again, how I talk to the client depends on what they're presenting with. Do they have financial stress? Are they anxious? Do they have a phobia? Are they trying to find love? Right? Are they worried about getting divorced? And sometimes if I feel like the client is, if I feel it's necessary or useful, I'll just work on a mild phobia at first, and do that first so they can kind of see that this kind of thing works. And remember, as I said, they don't need to tell you their whole story. Now I'm rogue. I'm kind of a gangster, a healing gangster. My friend and I will tell you that when we trained with our shamanic training, our instructor Alberto Vialda used to say, just heal one chakra at a time because then it's gentle. They like you. It feels good. And then you could charge them more and have more sessions. And we looked at each other like, what? Now, it's useful to make money, of course, but I went rogue. I just treat all of them. I said, look, I do strong medicine. You don't want to work with me. If you don't want strong medicine, you're here. What's this life about? Let's just get her done. And the client always says, yeah, let's do it. And I said, you might have a sad night. Make yourself some chicken soup. And we're going to do strong medicine. So I want the whole pile usually is how I work. But you can I start off the training and I have my students work on each other, treating something mild first so they feel good. And then I begin to take them down into alpha. And I'm not going to go over this in great detail, but the Silva Methods 3-2-1 technique to get into alpha is very effective. So I explain what I'm going to be doing. And you can pause this and look at this if you want to read that slide. So I invite them to close their eyes and I take a deep breath in. And as they exhale, I say, Susie, take a breath in. And as you exhale, See and say mentally to yourself the number 3, 3 times. I give them a chance to do that. And I say, this calms the body. And then I usually, if it's the first time especially, I will guide them through a body exercise. And again, my scripting is 15 pages. It's much more involved in this, but this is just to give you the feel. And then Susie, breathe in again. And as you exhale, see and say to yourself mentally the number 2, 3 times. And after a moment, I'll say, this calms your mind. And then I do 2 things. I explain, I kind of program into them that they will not be disturbed by any external noise. And I invite them to picture a peaceful place, a beach, a forest, or a favorite memory. And I invite them to go there in their mind and feel calm. And I often count to 20 and let them have that pretty picture to calm their mind. So we've calmed the body, we've calmed the mind. Now, interestingly enough, I had a client on my back patio a month ago, and after I put her into alpha, we're starting the work, and a car alarm went off about 20 feet from her, and she didn't even hear it. And then I say, Susie, breathe in again, and as you exhale, see and say to yourself mentally the number 1, 3 times. And after a moment, I'll say, you're now at relaxed alpha level, perfect for our work. And then I count them down 10 to 1. This puts them to a deep alpha. And again, this training is more involved. It's just I'm simplifying it for this today. And then I start my muscle testing. I'll confirm connection with Susie's subconscious mind using muscle testing. And I'll say, am I connecting to Susie's true subconscious mind? I always get a yes. Now I say true because some people do have alters. They come in a little bit messed up, and they have a protective subconscious that covers for the other subconscious. Sometimes we call it an alter. So, and that can confuse things and create barriers to treatment. So after I get a yes with my muscle testing, I engage the issue. And I don't always do this, but sometimes I ask them on a scale of 1 to 10, 10 being the worst, how intense is this issue right now? Now they're in alpha and they're already feeling better, so it's not going to be that bad. And I jot down their response. And if I also want to, I say, hey, when it's really bad and we're not together, what is it? And they might say 7, 8, or 9. I just note it because I'm telling you, clients, whether you do acupuncture work with them, Reiki, anything, medical, American Medical Association, allopathic medicine with them, Western medicine with them, when they feel better, they forget their problems and they go, like, what knee pain? I never had knee pain. So it's good to say, no, you were presenting at a 9. So the last slide today I'm going to give you is, remember I said that the subconscious mind and the personality parts, by the way, really love metaphor. So I give them a metaphor for the subconscious to work. The subconscious does already know what it's doing. It's ready to go, but I feel like I want to help it. So I picture, the point is you want to go from something that's calm and relaxed, and you indicate that any ripples in the water or any blemishes in the field, in the soccer field, they show up. These are the problems when the main personality is triggered. So I'm directing the subconscious through dream language, a metaphor, a visualization, to this is how I want them to work. As these ripples come up, as the tear in the field come up, please address these in the perfect and most correct order, gently. So I'll read this to you, but you can come up with your own. I usually use bodies of water like a pond or a lake, or I use a soccer field. Subconscious mind, picture the brain as a smooth green soccer field, perfectly maintained, with clear lines and no blemishes in the grass. When this issue, and you know, it's client directed, so whatever phobia or belief or anything you're working on activates, it's like gopher holes or patches of dirt appearing on the field. Your job is to gently smooth these out one by one in the gentle and most perfect order using a feather light touch, something like that, right? If Susie can handle up to a 10 level of emotional flooding, we'll keep this process at a 1 or lower to avoid overwhelm. So now you've gotten this started, and I'll stop here. In the next session, I'll talk about the rest of the session. But now you've got the person nice into alpha. But thank you for joining me today, and I will talk to you soon.